Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half English on the home side, half Scottish on the away side, and both of the breweries involved in this one have featured on the channel before, albeit the Scottish brewery a little bit more frequently than the English one. Now, when it comes to the English brewery, I would say that they are very solid all round. They do a lot of different IPAs, some nice darker beers as well in my experience, and they've built up a very good reputation for themselves over the last few years. I think this will be my third or maybe fourth video involving this brewery, if memory serves me correctly. The Scottish brewery, on the other hand, are most definitely best known for the different kinds of sour beers, wild ales and things like this. One of the real pioneers with that kind of style bracket in the Scottish beer scene. But the beer that we're going to have a look at today is the first collaboration I've seen between these two breweries. It's a style that I would associate more with the English brewery rather than the Scottish one, and it is one that I know they can do very, very well. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, for the English side of things, we are going to go to Nottingham, right in the centre of England, and we're going to have a look then at another beer from the wonderful Black Iris Brewery. So this particular beer is called Greenthumb. It comes in at 8% ABV, and this one is simply being described as a double IPA. I'm not sure exactly what kind of double IPA it's going to be, but we'll figure that out when we taste it. But it's also been brewed in collaboration with the wonderful Holy Goat Brewing from Dundee in Tayside in my motherland of Scotland. So yeah, this is one of the very first IPAs that I've had involving Holy Goat Brewing. It could well be the first, I honestly couldn't tell you these days, but yeah, I know Black Iris can do some really, really nice beers within the IPA style umbrella. So yeah, really cool to see these guys collaborating. This is yet another beer that I picked up from the wonderful Craftissimo in Shung Wan over on Hong Kong Island here in the Hong Kong SAR. So yeah, definitely cool to see these guys making another Hong Kong appearance. I think this is maybe the second or third time that their beers have made it over here. Since this is a Nottingham beer review as well, a massive shout out to the wonderful Billy Rag, or Raggy as he's known, of Raggy's Beers, Wines and Spirits Reviews, if I remember his channel correctly. A really lovely, lovely man, and I do hope that I can get back to Nottingham at some point and film some out and about videos with him. That would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, go and check out his channel. I'll try to remember to put a link in the video description for you below. But a really lovely character, and I need to speak to him again. I've not spoken to him in quite a wee while actually. But yeah, this is one of his local breweries. But yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see what it's going to have in store for us. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done, both from Black Iris Brewery and from Holy Goat Brewing. If you, and I'm sure we'll no doubt add more to both of those lists at some point in the very near future. If you do want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in both the Scottish playlist and the English playlist, since it is dual nationality, and do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about the breweries. We'll start off with Black Iris Brewery in this case, since they are the home brewery. So, Black Iris Brewery, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in Nottingham, and the company was founded by friends Nick Folkard and Alex Wilson. So Alex originally studied politics while Nick studied chemistry, and the pair met in around 2009 when they were working at the Lincolnshire Poacher, at which time Alex was a barman having just graduated and Nick was still studying chemistry. But Alex apparently took a few weeks off work to go and do a brewing course at Brew Lab up in Sunderland in the northeast of England, and after this they did some home brewing because they were flatmates from what I understand. But soon they learned that the Flower Pot pub in Derby had an unused 5-barrel kit, and they managed to organise a deal with the owner so that they could rent it, and so they set up the company officially and they brewed their first beer on the 1st of August 2011. So they chose the name Black Iris for the brewery from a short list of names that had been suggested for a housing cooperative startup that Alex had been involved in, and he apparently had been inspired to suggest this name because of how the flower kind of grows rhizomatically. It's kind of got this sort of spirally thing from what I remember, and it also connects horizontally without hierarchy, so he just really liked the kind of patterns that these flowers made, if I can put it so simply. But over the next few years from 2011 onwards, they established themselves and built up a good reputation for themselves, and then they decided to move to Basford in Nottingham in 2014, and at this point they brought a new 10-barrel kit which is around 1600 litres per brew, and they've just been gradually increasing the brewery's capacity over the last few years. The distinctive artwork that they have on the cans is designed by Kev Gray, who's a graffiti artist that Alex knew from Sheffield, and these designs were used after they moved into the facility at Basford in Nottingham. They run a brewery tap room on the weekends at the brewery as well, which you can go and check out. I filmed an out and about video there a couple of years ago now, and it's definitely worth the going to visit, and you can get there by tram from what I remember too. But yeah, as of August 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 230 different beers according to Untappd, and that number will no doubt continue to increase as time goes on. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Black Iris Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Untappd page to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on to the Scottish side of things then, and Holy Goat Brewing. So Holy Goat Brewing, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in the city of Dundee in Scotland, and the company was founded back in 2021 by Johnny Horn, who was of course one of the original co-founders of Vault City Brewing. So Johnny is originally from Wales, and he started experimenting with fermentation when he was about 15, but he later moved to Edinburgh to study for a PhD in archaeology, but he says that he ended up reading more brewing textbooks than archaeology papers and things like this, if you like. But he actually ran the University Brewing Society, and he worked at Brew Store before he got a job brewing part-time at the Hanging Bat on Lothian Road in Edinburgh, and it was there that he began to experiment with different sour beers and wild ales starting from about 2012. But during his time at Hanging Bat, he met Stephen Smith Hay, who was also interested in setting up his own brewery, and they were soon joined by his partner Adele Wilkie, and together the three of them established Vault City Brewing. And initially they didn't really think about making money, and they set up what they called a glorified home brewing kit as their brewery in Stephen and Dale's kitchen, and they began brewing weekly back in July of 2018. But over the following year they started visiting lots of beer festivals and things like that, and word really spread about the Vault City beers, and they started brewing their beers at 71 Brewing's facility in Dundee, and in total Vault City spent about 16 months there. But at this point Johnny decided that he really wanted to go in a different direction from the Vault City guys. They kind of wanted to have a base beer and sort of play around with that, whereas Johnny really wanted to kind of try lots and lots of different styles. So there was a kind of creative difference, and so they decided to separate, and he founded Holy Goat as his own company in 2021. But Johnny says that this new model kind of allows him to go back to basics and be very, very experimental, and like I said, Holy Goat have built up a very good reputation for themselves, and yeah, they're doing really quite well. The stuff that they produce is always really nice. But yeah, as of August 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced about 115 different kinds of beer, and like I said to you, they are most definitely best known for their different kinds of wild ales and sour beers and stuff like this, but every so often you will find some like imperial stouts or some other random things from them, and they always tend to be pretty bloody good as well. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Holy Goat Brewing for the moment. If you want to learn more about them, again, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with the latest goings on, and you can check out the Untappd page as well to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that those guys have done. So yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Holy Goat Brewing. And that's the end of our history section of this video. So let's go on and actually have a wee look at the beer itself. Let me just bring up the Untappd page because it tells you the hops that are in this beer. I forgot to write that in my brewery notes. It says this one has Citra and Strata in it, along with a bit of Galaxy, Nelson Sauvin and Chinook, and they're all different kinds of cryo oils from what I understand. But yeah, we know these hops very well. Citra, of course, is I think all of them apart from Nelson Sauvin are American. So yeah, Citra's 14% alpha acid. It's going to give that big distinctive mango-y note, and then a more kind of lemon limey character in a more hazy type IPA, or that more oily gooseberry kind of thing. And lychee if it's a West Coasty IPA. Strata is about 14% alpha acid if I remember correctly, and it's going to give you quite a distinctive strawberry type character. Galaxy, sorry I told you lie earlier, that's an Australian hop, that's about 14% alpha acid as well. Quite a lot of passion fruit and quite a bit of pineapple and mango as well. And then you've got Chinook in there, which is about 14% alpha acid, big piney resinous notes. And then of course Nelson Sauvin, the Kiwi hop, 16% alpha acid and a big sort of gooseberry white green grapey character out of it. So yeah, those are your hops that are in this one. As we said earlier, it comes in at 8% ABV. They're just calling it double IPA. They're not calling it a New England hazy, but I do see that on the ingredients list they list wheat and oats in this one, so I think this is most likely to be a hazy, or at least leaning that way. But yeah, the artwork on this one is absolutely lovely. It's got that kind of more heavy metal kind of look to it. Well, it's a bit more of a black metal look, I guess you could say, from the Black Iris guys. But yeah, you can see on the back there is the Black Iris Brewery symbol there, along with the Holy Goat one. I have to say, yeah, the style of artwork in this one really suits both breweries. It's a 440ml can, this one. As I say, 8% ABV with some really nice hops in it. Let's get it out into the glass and just see what it's all about. My first beer from Black Iris in, what, 3-4 years, something like that. Yeah, let's get it out into the glass and see what we have. Ah yeah, definitely looks like a more hazy IPA, this one, rather than anything else. But yeah, I think that'll do for the moment, and we'll put a bit more in later so we get some nice head on it before we drink it. But yeah, I have to say, looks pretty nice. It's actually quite a murky colour, this one, but before the head disappears, we've poured maybe about 2/3 of the beer out and into the glass. But yeah, you can see with what we've poured in, there's about a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of cream coloured head on this one. That is fading away to be a thinner, more foamy layer, and you can see there's a little bit of a more kind of bubbly character. Yeah, there's a little bit more of a kind of bubbly character to this one, a more kind of soapy head, almost, if you like. But yeah, colour-wise, this one's like quite a murky, mixed tropical fruit juice. I always like comparing the hazy IPAs to different fruit juices, because that really is just what they remind me of. But yeah, this is like a kind of mixed mango, pineapple sort of colour juice, this one. So yeah, remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And yeah, you don't often have to care about that when it comes to different hazy IPAs, right enough, but yeah, it does play a role in there. Another thing I would say is that for an 8%er, this is one of the soupier and gloopier New Englands that I've come across, actually. So the level of haze in these beers depends on oat content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use, and again, that can vary from brewery to brewery and beer to beer. But yeah, certainly one of the soupier and gloopier 8%ers that I've seen recently. But yeah, not much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, and as you can see, the head has just faded away with it. But all in all, nothing overly surprising about this beer. in terms of appearance when you consider what style it is. I am a little bit confused though why they called this one a double IPA instead of saying New England Hazy or whatever, but I'm sure we'll find out when we have a taste of it later on if there's something a bit different about it. But yeah, appearance wise, absolutely New England Hazy, this one, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the nose of this one then and see what we've got. Okay, right, I'm going to say straight away, it comes across as being like quite a barley malty and oaty leaning New England IPA, this one. It's got a lovely bright green component to it and quite a soft, juicy character as well. Yeah, it's got everything you'd want from the New England style actually. It does it really nice. I'm noticing I'm getting quite a bit of pungency out of this. But it smells great, we can say that. I don't think I've had too many hazies from Black Iris. I remember trying some really good like red IPAs and black IPAs from these guys. This could well be my first, one of my first encounters with the hazy IPAs from this brewery. But yeah, it's certainly really, really nice in that sense. Yeah, so where do we go with this one? Let's just break down the aroma and describe it for you that little bit more in depth. So the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there, and on top of that there's a little bit of a kind of woody character, of course, and a wee bit of kind of Jacob's cream cracker, which you very, very often get, and yeah, some wholemeal brown bread in there, but not that much. Lovely fresh fluffy white bread in there as well from the barley malt, and you can smell that more dense wheaty character to this one. There's a wee bit of bitiness further back on the nose, but overall the wheat is actually quite smooth, but a lovely dense wheaty white bready character coming out of this beer. On top of that you can smell the oats, and the oaty character in this one for me is showing you some of the creaminess, and oats are an interesting component of a New England IPA because quite often they can give you a rough indicator of how fresh your beer is, and essentially the creamier the oats smell and taste, the fresher the beer is, the older they are, the drier they are, the older the beer is. That's what I wanted to say. Come on, brain. But yeah, you are getting a mix of creaminess out of this one, but there's a wee bit of dryness starting to appear here. And this beer has been brought in to Hong Kong, and it's maybe about 2 months old or something like that at this point in time. So it's not in its absolute optimal condition. We can say that. So we'll keep that in mind when we're going through this one. But yeah, with this beer, you do get a little bit of sweetness coming out of the malt base as well. There's a little bit of that Werther's original butter candy butterscotch, and there's also a wee bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity character to it as well. So yeah, there's a wee bit of sweetness in there, and I think the more that you smell of this one, the more that comes out. But yeah, as I've often said, when it comes to New England IPAs, there's 6 elements to think about with these. You've got your farmhousey, yeasty type character on the rye leaning grainy side of things. Those are a bit more common in New England brewed New England IPAs, but then as the styles moved elsewhere and evolved, it's more about wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and also the sweeter side of things. So for me, this one's more kind of barley malt leaning and more oaty, but it does have a wee element of sweetness in there, and you can get a bit of the wheat out of it as well. So it's quite balanced, I think, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, at the back of the nose with this one, you get some yeasty characters out of the beer. So for me, the yeasty side of this one, it's got a good little bit of brown bready character to it. So yeah, the brown bready notes at the brown bready notes at the back of the nose in there are coming out from the yeast. There's a bit more of a kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there, and there's also a wee bit of kind of crackery note to that as well. So yeah, the yeasty character is in there and it is noticeable, but I think it takes a bit of a backseat, and I will point out as well, I'm getting more and more wheat out of this one the more that I smell of it. So yeah, that's an interesting point to make about this one for sure. But yeah, I think we've said everything we need about the malty yeasty side of the beer. Let's go on to the hoppy side of things. So yeah, the hoppy side of this beer, the green component on this one actually has quite a bit of a kind of punch to it, I wouldn't be surprised if there's been a fair little bit of early edition hopping with this one, because it does smell as if it's going to be a little bit more bitter. But yeah, when you brew an IPA, there are 3 types of hoppings that you can do. Early edition hopping, which takes place within the first hour of the wort boil, gives you a deep dank green component and it's responsible for the majority of your bitterness. You've got late edition hopping, which takes place within the last half hour or so of the wort boil. Wee bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, very bright green component. Dry hopping takes place after the wort boil is complete, and that's all about flavour and aroma. And yeah, that one is is very, very common in a lot of IPAs. But yeah, New England IPAs rely on late edition and dry hopping. West Coast IPAs use all 3, so keep that in mind. But yeah, the green component in this one is really quite pungent. There's a little bit of earthiness in there, big floral aromaticity, and there's also some really nice kind of grassy notes coming out of this beer as well. So yeah, the way that all goes together, I think, is really nice. Yeah, do we need to say anything more about that? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Yeah, the green component in this one is absolutely lovely. So yeah, the fruity side of this one then, let's go to that. There's quite a variety of hops in here, but the fruit, actually, there's quite a lot going on. I mean, I do get a little bit of a kind of stronger guava note out of this one. There's lots of juicy ripe mango in there. That's the Galaxy and the Citra that's going to give you that. There's apricot, there's pineapple, again it's Galaxy and Citra that's going to give you that mostly. I think the Strata can sometimes give you a wee bit of a melony note, and I'm certainly getting some of that as well. But other than that, the Strata strawberry is really obvious at the front of the nose too. And you can smell a little bit of that oily gooseberry note from the Nelson Sauvignon as well. But if you take it in really deeply, yeah, I think the Nelson Sauvignon and the Strata, the gooseberry and the sort of strawberry notes are the ones that seem more kind of pungent. But yeah, when you're just taking a waft of it like this, it's more of the kind of very bright tropical notes that are coming out of the beer. So yeah, the way that pieces together in this one, I think, is really quite nice. It gets a big thumbs up from me. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time to just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But I think this one's going to be pretty damn good, and look, it's got even soupier and gloopier when we put the last of it in there. But yeah, enjoy the aroma before you try it. But I think it is time that we taste this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this is the Greenthumb, an 8% New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA from Black Iris Brewery in Nottingham in England, in collaboration with Holy Goat Brewing, the wonderful sour beer brewery from Dundee in my motherland of Scotland. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers, and a massive shout out to Mr. Raggy. There we go. Ooh, right. I'm going to say straight away, this beer's got a lovely aftertaste to it. What it leaves in the mouth is the thing that kind of strikes me most. When you take it in, I mean, it's so soupy and gloopy, but it's actually like, it has a little bit of like an almost zip to the mouthfeel. So yeah, it's quite an interesting one in that regard. Ooh, yeah. It almost makes me feel like it's just got this little bit of zip to it, which makes me think, have they used a little bit of maybe acidulated malt and things in this one? I remember Magic Rock Brewery back in the day always used to do that, but yeah, this beer does have that wee bit of zip on the tongue just as you take it in. But it's a lovely, lovely beer, this one, actually. Quite a different New England IPA in comparison to what I've had previously, or in recent times, I think is another good way to put that. But I'll say straight away, thumbs up to both breweries. This is bloody good, we'll say that. Just a wee bit different compared to what we've had before. But yeah, I do say I love the artwork in this one. I might need to keep this can. But yeah, lovely artwork and a lovely beer for sure. But yeah, I think what I said, that this beer, I'm getting more and more wheat out of the flavour in this one the further into the aftertaste we go as well. So yeah, awesome stuff. Right, let's break this beer down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So, middle third of your palate then, the backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. As you move further forward on that middle third of your palate, you get a nice wee bit of kind of woodiness coming out of this one. So yeah, you've got the fresh white bready bread crust, a little bit of woodiness in there, then there's some nice kind of Jacob's cream cracker coming out of the beer. So yeah, fresh white bready bread crust, Jacob's cream cracker, and a wee bit of woodiness in there. Then there's definitely a layer of like a more wholemeal, grainy brown bread to the beer too. And then above that, I wonder if there's a little bit of Maris Otter in this. There's just something about the sweetness of the bread in this malt that's making me think Maris Otter, maybe a little bit of a nostalgia or something like this. But yeah, you've got that white bready bread crusty backbone in there. Then the wholemeal brown bready layers there, which gets a little bit sweeter. Then you've got a fresher, fluffy white bready character on top of that, and then yeah, a more dense. There's a more dense kind of wheaty. Yeah, there's that more above the fresh, fluffy white bread. There's a more dense, wheaty white bready character as well. So yeah, lovely little bit of dense, wheaty white bready character in there. And the wheat in this one's actually very smooth and almost kind of sweet. So I've often said sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But this beer is very, very smooth overall. So yeah, fresh fluffy white bread, the more dense wheaty sort of note. And down the middle line of your palate you can feel that kind of creamy oaty note, and it just sort of spreads out toward the edges of your palate, and it shows you a little touch of dryness. In the dead centre of your palate, there's just a little tiny circle there where you get a wee bit of Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch and biscuit, but I would say those flavours in this one are quite minimal. It's more the wheat, the smoothness of the wheat, and the oaty creaminess that's kind of coming out of this one. So yeah, the way that goes together in this beer, I think, is really nice. So gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I think we said everything we need about the malty base in this one. A very smooth, bready character to it, which is kind of interesting, and the sweetness makes me think a bit of Maris Otter malt. So yeah, let's go to the back third of your palate then. As I've often said, the back third of your palate will give you similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, but just at different intensities. So yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of kind of bready build up in there, the brown bread in the base, the barley malt white bread in the middle, then the kind of more dense wheaty character on top. The base of that, back third of your palate, it's the white bready bread crust, the Jacob's cream cracker, the wholemeal brown bready characters on top of that, the white bready characters in there. Those two layers are of course a little bit lighter, taller and more airy, then the more dense wheaty characters on top of that. And there's just a little bit of a kind of wheaty bitiness to the beer on the back third of your palate. You've got the yeast sitting above that as well. So the yeast has a nice kind of smooth, dry, the yeasty character has a little bit more of a kind of, the yeasty side of this one has a little bit more of a it's got a little bit more of a drier brown bready character in the middle, but then around the edge it's got a little bit of a sweeter note to it. So yeah, a little bit of a more kind of sweet wholemeal brown bready note, and then around the very edge, of it, it's got a little bit of a it's got a little bit of an almost kind of crackery character as well. So yeah, the yeasty character there kind of lingers into the aftertaste a little bit, but mostly it's about the nice sweet bready notes. And definitely, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. But yeah, that's the malty and yeasty side of the beer then. Let's go to the hoppy side of things. So, back corners of the palate, you've got a lovely little bit of kind of earthiness in there. It's quite minimal. As you move further forward, it's got a little bit of an almost woody character, and then behind that, there's some nice, yeah, you've got some really nice sort of like floral aromaticity and things coming out of this beer. So you have a lovely, nice kind of big, zippy floral aromaticity, and as you move further forward, it's a little bit more, as you move further forward, it smoothens out a wee bit, then round the front curve of your tongue, it's just that little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. So yeah, the way that that really kind of pieces together in this one, I think, is also very, very nice. So that gets a big thumbs up from me as well. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's go to the front third of your palate then, and the fruity side of things. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate. Again, you get that little bit of bready build up in there. There's the brown bread in the base, the white bread in the middle, then the more wheaty character on top. The base of that front third of your tongue is like a fresh white bready bread crust. There's the Jacob's cream cracker on top of that, the wholemeal brown bread, the kind of barley malt white bread, the smoother wheaty side of things, then the more kind of creamy oaty sort of note. And then yeah, on top of that, there's that lovely oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So yeah, for me, the fruity side of this one is is lovely. It's just got a lovely little bit of juiciness to it. The combination of hops that's going on here is quite interesting. One thing I will say is I do get a wee bit of a piney resiny note, just a little bit into the aftertaste with the beer, but let's focus on that fruity side of things. So yeah, the fruity side of this beer, for me, I do think the Strata and the Nelson Sauvignon are the two more prominent hops in this one. But yeah, at the back of that front third of your palate, there's a little touch of kind of grapefruity note in there, which will be the Chinook and potentially a bit of the Citra as well. But as you move further forward, lots and lots of kind of juicy mango. There's a wee bit of a more kind of pungent melon in there as well, which I think would be the Strata. So yeah, juicy mango, bit of melon. And as you move further forward from that, there's a sort of softer apricot and a wee bit of juicy pineapple as well. But yeah, the front half of that front third of your palate, it's that smooth, oily, gooseberry, white green grapey character underneath, then the kind of juicy candied strawberry just sitting on top of that. So yeah, the Nelson Sauvignon underneath and the Strata just sitting on top of it. But yeah, the way the fruity character goes together in this one, I have to say, pardon me, is really, really nice, and that gets a big thumbs up from me as well. So yeah, very impressed with this one. I have to say that about it. I am really damn impressed with this. But yeah, I think we've said everything we really need to about the flavour in this one. The only other thing I'd potentially add is there's a wee bit of a lemony character just behind the very front tip of the tongue, and that is just mixing in with the kind of grassy esters that the beer has. But overall, a really lovely, more kind of zippy and kind of punchy New England IPA, this one. Quite a different take on the style compared to other things I've had recently. But yeah, let's round off the review then with a wee look at the mouthfeel. So yeah, for me, it's got a lovely sort of silky mouthfeel to it, this one. I would say this beer is at top end of mid-bodied. The carbonation is very, very smooth, lovely and silky. As we say, the IBU in this one, I want to say this is maybe about 40 or I think about 40, maybe 50 IBUs at a push. It does feel like it's got a little bit more bitterness to it. Potentially that is the contribution of the Chinook. But the malt was, like we say, slightly touch drier underneath, smoother in the middle, and a lovely kind of oaty, creamy kind of character on top of that. And yeah, there's a lovely kind of big, juicy note to this one, which I really do quite enjoy as well. So yeah, the way everything kind of pieces together in this one, I think, is really, really nice, and it's a really very an interesting take on the New England Hazy IPA for me, in honesty, quite different to the other ones I've had recently. So if you get the chance, check it out. And I'm not sure exactly how old this one is, or it says the best before date is the 30th of November 2025. It still feels as if it's in very fresh condition, I have to say that at this point, however old it is. In August, maybe it's about 3 months old, something like that. But yeah, it's in very good condition. So yeah, I think we can leave it there. This one was the Greenthumb, an 8% New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA from Black Iris Brewery in Nottingham in England, in collaboration with the wonderful Holy Goat Brewing from Dundee in Tayside in Scotland. Two very good breweries who've produced a really nice beer here. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Black Iris and Holy Goat, and we will no doubt return to these guys again at some point in the very near future. But until then, Slàinte, skål, cheers, check out my social media, check out the brewery's social media, and I'll see you guys on another review very, very soon. Ciao just now.